Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Troy. Hey, listen, if you're paying attention to the legacy media, you might notice that they're trying their hardest to both sides this presidential election, making a huge issue of Joe Biden's age. Never mind the fact that Donald Trump is only 3 years younger. Trying to paint Joe Biden as some sort of unpopular, ineffectual president who's about to be replaced by the Democratic Party, maybe. That's their narrative. That's what they're running with because they think that that helps their ratings. Never mind that Biden's opponent, Donald Trump, just threatened to execute Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, and shut down free speech in this country. That's not getting much airplay on mainstream legacy media, but Joe Biden's age, that's the real issue here. It didn't stop there. Donald Trump had one of the most unhinged, violent rhetoric spewing weeks of his life. Even for Donald Trump, last week was outrageous. Some of the things he said, calling on Mark Milley to be put to death, shutting down NBC, threatening liberal Jews, quote unquote liberal Jews, on Rosh Hashanah, on the day. Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. He posted this on his True Social account. It was a repost of another anti-Semitic post. He said, just a quick reminder for, quote, liberal Jews who voted to destroy America and Israel because you believed false narratives. Let's hope you learned from your mistake and make better choices moving forward. Happy New Year. Let's hope you learned from your mistake and make better choices. Trump posted this on Rosh Hashanah. Anti-Semitic comments, reposting this garbage. He posted this meme, seeming to suggest that migrants and migrant children should be fed to alligators. That's a nice one. He reshared a QAnon post. This is a meme from a QAnon account. It says, "Are you ready to serve your country again? Remember your oath." Trump reposted it. You can see the little Q over there on the side. Remember your oath, quote unquote, remember your oath. That is part of the QAnon death cult conspiracy. Part of their belief system is that Donald Trump will rise to power again and will execute Democrats. Anyone who is opposed to the QAnon death cult will be executed. There will be mass public executions led by Donald Trump. That's what's being insinuated here in this Q rhetoric. Donald Trump happy to repost that, happy to join the QAnon death cult that worships him. He's praising Tommy Tuberville's destruction of our military readiness with his sham stunt. He's taking credit for corrupt Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton for him not being removed from office in his impeachment trial, the most corrupt attorney general in the country, if not in history. Impeachment charges, an impeachment brought against Paxton by Republicans in Texas. That's how bad Paxton was. Texas Republicans wanted him gone. That's how corrupt he was. Donald Trump taking credit for the fact that he spit out the MAGA narrative that Paxton should be acquitted, and he was, backing that. Trump then erroneously saying that Congress should invoke the 25th Amendment to remove Joe Biden. 25th Amendment has nothing to do with Congress. The 25th Amendment is about the president's cabinet temporarily handing power to the vice president. So he did this twice in the span of a couple weeks, calling on Congress to invoke the 25th Amendment. Man wants to be president. He has absolutely no idea how the 25th Amendment works. And he attacked Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro for implementing universal voter registration. And then in the most recent one, this was just this weekend, he calls on NBC News to be shut down. He's talking about ending free press in the United States because they said mean things about him. He wants to shut down all media in this country except the ones that say nice things about Donald Trump. I really wonder how the people at NBC, and particularly Kristen Welker, are feeling about the fact that Donald Trump just threatened their network, saying that as president, he will shut down NBC, shut down freedom of the press, a week after they platformed him, a week after Kristen Welker decided to make him their first her first sit-down interview as the new host of Meet the Press. I hope she's feeling really great about that. I hope her producers are feeling really great about the fact that they just platformed the man who wants to end free speech in this country. Now let's contrast all of that with Joe Biden's week, shall we? President Biden had an incredible week, probably one of the best weeks of his entire presidency, that was started off with a historic speech at the United Nations, reaffirming American leadership on the world stage.
For the second year in a row, this gathering, dedicated to peaceful resolution of conflicts, is darkened by the shadow of war. An illegal war of conquest brought without provocation by Russia against its neighbor Ukraine. Like every nation in the world, the United States wants this war to end. No nation wants this war to end more than Ukraine. And we strongly support Ukraine in its efforts to bring about a diplomatic resolution that delivers just and lasting peace. But Russia alone bears responsibility for this war. Russia alone has the power to end this war immediately. And it's Russia alone that stands in the way of peace, because Russia's price for peace is Ukraine's capitulation, Ukraine's territory, and Ukraine's children. Russia believes that the world will grow weary and allow it to brutalize Ukraine without consequence. But I ask you this: if we abandon the core principles of the United States to appease an aggressor, can any member state in this body feel confident that they are protected? If we allow Ukraine to be carved up, is the independence of any nation secure? I'd respectfully suggest the answer is no. We have to stand up to this naked aggression today and deter other would-be aggressors tomorrow. That's why the United States, together with our allies and partners around the world, will continue to stand with the brave people of Ukraine as they defend their sovereignty and territorial integrity and their freedom.
This is normal. This is how U.S. presidents act. This is how U.S. presidents are supposed to look on the world stage, supporting our allies, defending democracy, defending freedom around the world, not calling for free press to be shut down and military officers to be put to death in their own country. Will the both sides media cover that? Probably not. What else did Biden do last week? Well, he started the American Climate Corps. For the first time, the U.S. president taking bold action on climate change, the most serious existential threat to humanity, the biggest threat of our time, taking bold action on it. He started a task force, a gun violence task force, led by VP Harris, that will provide FEMA-like outreach and support to communities following gun violence, following mass shootings. We now have a president taking gun violence seriously in this country, the number one killer of children in the United States. And he gave a Rose Garden speech with young Congressman Maxwell Frost and Vice President Harris launching that initiative. And then at the end of last week, Biden announced that he will be going to Michigan and be meeting with striking workers on the picket line. The most bold pro-union, pro-labor move action ever by a United States president. U.S. presidents never side with striking workers. They certainly don't go meet with them on the picket line. The closest thing we've ever had to this was in 1902. Teddy Roosevelt invited striking coal workers to the White House. But for Biden to go and meet on the picket line with striking workers, an absolutely bold, pro-worker, pro-union stance. So once again, stacking those two presidential candidates side by side. Trump's deranged week, threatening Jewish people, anti-Semitic comments, threatening Mark Milley, threatening to shut down the free press, just violent, psychopathic, unhinged behavior, versus Joe Biden leading on the world stage, making bold moves, leadership in action to help the people of this country, tackling the biggest issues of our day. If you watch mainstream media, if you watch legacy media, they're both siding those candidates. They're not even covering the Mark Milley story, the story of Trump calling for the chairman of the Joint Chiefs to be executed. Biden proving himself to be one of the most effective presidents in our history, one of the most successful presidents in our history, and doing it all at a time of massive divisions in this country with a recalcitrant Republican Party in Congress that opposes his every move. Joe Biden getting stuff done for the American people. So we're going to cover that. We're going to make sure that people know what Joe Biden is doing, that it's not about his age, even though legacy media wants to make everything about Joe Biden's age and refuse to cover all the good stuff that he's doing for the American people and not report on the crazy, evil things that Donald Trump is doing. We're going to cover it. We're not going to both sides the issues. We're going to talk about the good things that Joe Biden is doing and point out what a dangerous threat Donald Trump is to this country. Donald Trump is a threat to the national security of the United States, plain and simple. For MeidasTouch, this is Troy. Remember, smash that subscribe button to keep supporting independent media and head on over to MeidasTouch.com for this and a ton more content. New stories updated every day on MeidasTouch.com. Thanks all.